Introducing the world's first browser for gamers.
What's that? You don't know about the browser for gamers?
Opera GX! Opera GX.
Opera GX, baby!
Thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video.
Look, if you're watching this, you have probably heard of Opera GX, and if you haven't, Opera GX is a browser which is derived from its predecessor, Opera. Opera GX has around 20 million active users and is used by gamers alike. The browser consists of many features such as a CPU and RAM limiter, mods that you can make it as customizable as you'd like, and even a built-in VPN. So it can't be that bad, right? However, behind the mask hides a dark past that many of its users are forgetting to question. Am I even in safe hands? The purpose of this investigation is moreover to enlighten people of Opera GX and their practices as a company. I'm not trying to hurt the company's reputation in any way, and would like to have the people viewing this video documentary leave with more information on Opera's beginnings, as well as possibly giving more information on possible alternatives to the software. So with that, let's begin. To talk about Opera GX's suspicious nature, we would first need to talk about Opera. Opera holds around 2.82% of the browser market share, which equates to around 56.4 million active users. Compared to that, its competition Brave has around 15.5 million daily active users. That is nearly 3 times more than the people who are they competing with. However, the way they got there doesn't make the company as trustworthy as they may appear. Opera has been accused of integrating itself into multiple pop-ups that would normally contain itself into malware. In the mid-2010s and onwards, the site has appeared on multiple sites such as AdFly and other suspicious sites, claiming to either be a free media player update, browser update, Java update, or even a Flash update. This, along with other natural growth, made it so that in around 2015, they started to have 5.86% in market share, and this today would be around 117,200,000 monthly active users. This does not help the fact that Opera as well as Opera GX are trying to hide that their company is based in China. The problem with China holding data of other foreigners is that the Chinese government has a history of exerting control over the flow of information and engaging in surveillance activities. Allowing China to hold online data of American users could potentially give the Chinese government access to personal information as well as other sensitive data, enabling surveillance and potentially compromising common principles. Although Opera Software states to be a Norwegian company, its parent company, Kunlun Tech, is located in China. This information was relatively hard to find, especially since the only company tied to this parent company is within the Opera group, but is not what holds the brand itself, that being Opera Limited compared to Opera Software. According to Opera's privacy policy, the other companies of the Opera group that may have access to personal data act as data processors for Opera Norway. In short, what that means is that data is able to be transferred and processed between every part of the Opera group so that then it can be processed, including one area in which data is held in China, where it may be a little easier for the company to sell user data. And with this all in mind, it is key to note that Opera can be considered spyware by multiple means. For example, Opera makes on first launch 83 unsolicited requests. I especially find this humorous since one of the requests that they make is to Lowe's.com. As well as that, they do also monitor things such as your geolocation, which is not really ideal for a Chinese company to hold. They do also have a list of partners such as Amazon, eBay, and even Booking.com. This is all based on speculation, but what makes sense to me is the fact that since these sites are partnered with Opera, they would have the ability to track personalized data of its users. And now back to how Opera tracks your geolocation, I ran an experiment to see if Opera GX falls under the same practices. I'm going to tell you how to do this so that then you can possibly do this for yourself. I installed Fiddler Classic from their official site so that then I can track all of the requests coming from Opera GX. Once downloaded, I ran through the Opera GX installer and made sure that the general location configuration was turned off. This was so that I can make sure it wasn't supposed to track where I was. Once I ran through the installer, I launched Fiddler and watched the requests roll in. One of the requests was from a website known as geoip.network-n.com. Other browsers would use a specific domain that is pretty much meant to track your location for business insider purposes, making your data pretty much anonymized. However, this does not seem to be the case with Opera GX, and what they do is they practically have information such as the exact city you're from, zip code, and your literal latitude and longitude coordinates. Even on Google Chrome, they never run any GeoIP instances. And since since Opera GX runs on Chromium, which is an open version of Google Chrome, they should not be running any similar practices. However, that does not seem to be the case. You also know how Opera GX has a built-in VPN. Well, there may be some problems with your privacy and security when it comes to using this VPN. A VPN works by routing a device's internet connection through a private service rather than the user's regular internet service provider. This, in theory, would change the user's IP and make their browsing experience more secure. However, how most VPNs run is they reroute your location to a random place and also encrypt the data to ensure the user's confidentiality when surfing the internet. However, Opera GX reroutes your location directly to the Norwegian headquarters, which there they would have access to all your personal information. It is not known whether they encrypt your data or not. That is all up to you, but this VPN can give them access to personal information such as browser history, a direct insight on your IP address, and even more. So now that you see Opera GX's shady practices, from logging your geolocation unsolicited ways to rerouting all of your data to Opera's headquarters, it should be clear that it may be a little difficult to trust their company. The question still lies as to what you probably should use instead of Opera GX. I personally use Brave, as it is relatively simple to get most, if not all of the features that lie within Opera GX. I did also run a test, and Brave utilizes less RAM without messing with speed compared to Opera GX does with its RAM limiter. However, if you would like to pick a browser which focuses entirely on privacy and security, I would recommend using something such as LibreWolf, which runs on the same infrastructure as Firefox. Anyways, this video did take a hot minute, so please hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next video as per usual. Peace.